Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're peeling back the layers on something you probably use without a second thought, the can opener.
Right, and the story behind it. It involves this huge technological irony. It's actually pretty fascinating.
It really is. We're talking about a 40-year gap. 40 years between the invention of the tin can, which, changed everything for food, war, exploration.
Completely changed things.
Yeah.
And the tool actually designed to open it, it's unbelievable. For decades, people had this amazing preserved food.
But needed what power tools to get into it?
Almost. You basically needed a hammer and chisel, sometimes worse. So we're going to dive into why this gap existed, why the can was out there for so long without a proper opener.
And it wasn't just about someone needing a bright idea, was it? It's more complicated.
Exactly. It ties into materials, manufacturing, the whole context.
Okay, let's unpack this.
So to really get the can, you need to go back. Think early 1800s, Napoleon's campaigns across Europe.
Right. Huge armies on the move. Logistics must have been a nightmare.
A total nightmare. And a lot of the time, the biggest enemy wasn't even the opposing army. It was food spoilage, bad rations.
Yeah, disease, starvation. That could cripple an army faster than cannons sometimes. It drains manpower, morale, everything.
Absolutely. So the French government, they saw this. They knew reliable food was strategic. In 1795, they put out this massive challenge.
A prize, wasn't it? Like a lot of money for the time.
A huge prize, 12,000 francs. They needed a safe, reliable way to preserve food for the troops.
And someone actually did it.
Yep, a Parisian chef, actually. Nicolas Appert. Bit of a confectioner, too. In 1809, he cracked it.
What was his method? Was it canning?
It's sort of the precursor. He figured out you could cook food, put it into these thick glass jars, seal them really well with cork and wax, and then boil the whole thing.
So basically sterilizing it with heat, even if they didn't fully understand the germ theory yet.
Exactly. It was revolutionary. Modern food preservation really starts there. Appert won the prize, naturally, but there is a catch.
Glass jars, right?
Yeah.
For an army. Doesn't sound very practical.
Not at all. Think about it. Thousands of heavy glass jars marching bumpy roads.
Breakage would be constant. And they're heavy. A logistical problem all over again.
Precisely. So the army needed something tougher, something lighter maybe, something that wouldn't just shatter.
Which leads us to metal.
Right. The tin revolution, you could call it. Just a year after Appert's breakthrough, 1810, an Englishman, Peter Durand, he patents the idea.
Using tin-plated iron instead of glass.
Exactly, tin cans. The sources talk about them being way tougher, lighter, almost indestructible compared to glass, perfect for campaigns, long voyages.
So that's it. Problem solved. Scalable food preservation, Appert's method in a durable container.
It seemed like problem solved. But that very toughness, the thing that made them so great.
That created the new problem. How do you get in?
Exactly. They were so good at keeping stuff out, they were also incredibly good at keeping the food locked inside.
Okay, hold on. So you got this amazing invention, the can. It's clearly useful, adopted quickly for military explorers.
Oh yeah, spread like wildfire.
So why didn't someone, like a smart engineer or even just a clever blacksmith, figure out an opener right away? 40 years seems, well, it seems like a long time to be struggling. Like someone dropped the ball.
It does seem obvious now, doesn't it? And that's the question historians wrestled with. But you have to picture what these early users were actually dealing with.
Okay, so what happened when they first got these cans? Did they come with instructions?
They did. And the instructions are, frankly, kind of hilarious and terrifying.
Don't leave us hanging. What do they say?
The official advice, and this is a quote, was, cut round the top near the outer edge with a chisel and hammer.
You're kidding. A chisel and a hammer. That wasn't just what people did in desperation. That was the official method.
That was the recommended procedure. You needed workshop tools for your dinner.
Wow. Okay, so what do people actually do out in the field? Soldiers, explorers?
Yeah.
They wouldn't always have a chisel handy.
Right. And the accounts from back then, it's sheer brute force. Forget knives. A simple knife wouldn't even dent this stuff.
So what then? Bayonets.
Bayonets, definitely. Smashing them open. Prying them with swords. There are even accounts of people resorting to, shooting them with muskets to puncture the lid.
Shooting their dinner.
Yeah,
that's
steps.
desperate and dangerous.
Absolutely. You've got this perfectly preserved food, a marvel of science, and you might injure yourself badly just trying to access it. It completely undercut the benefit.
There's that great quote we found from the British soldier in the 1850s.
Oh, yeah, that sums it up perfectly. He apparently said something like, These cans will last until Doomsday unless you starve first trying to open them.
He nailed it. Solved the spoilage problem, created an access problem, a decades-long access problem.
Decades. It wasn't a minor annoyance. It was a real daily struggle for anyone relying on canned food.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Yeah.
You mentioned the competence question earlier. If these cans were everywhere, and everyone knew opening them was a nightmare, dangerous even.
Yeah, the stories were common.
Why didn't the geniuses of the age, the people inventing steam engines, telegraphs, all that Victorian innovation, why didn't they tackle this?
Yeah.
Why ignore such a huge, obvious pain point for so long?
And that's where it shifts from just, like, historical anecdote to something more fundamental. It wasn't really about incompetence or lack of ideas. It was physics, material science.
How so? A can's a can.
Not back then. The cans we use today. Thin aluminum, maybe thin steel, easy to slice. These early cans, totally different beast.
They weren't tin.
They were tin-plated, but the base metal was heavy iron and sealed with thick lead solder. They were incredibly robust. People describe them as being almost like cast iron.
Cast iron? Seriously?
Yeah, the metal sheets they used were super thick, partly for the sealing process, partly just to survive rough handling and transport. They had to be that tough.
Okay. I'm starting to see it.
Yeah.
The problem wasn't dreaming up a lever or a cutting wheel. It was that inventors probably looked at this thick iron canister and thought, no way can a small handheld kitchen gadget possibly generate enough force to cut through that. You'd need, well, a chisel and hammer.
That's the core insight historians landed on. The sheer thickness, the brute strength of the can itself, made the idea of a dedicated, convenient opener seem kind of impossible, unrealistic. Why invent a tool that couldn't do the job?
So the technology for the opener basically had to wait for the technology of the can to change first.
Exactly. It wasn't until manufacturing processes improved, probably in the mid-1800s, allowing for thinner metal cans, that the idea of a specialized opener even became viable.
Okay, so the cans eventually got thinner, easier to work with, and then the inventors started jumping in around the 1850s.
That's when we see the first patents pop up. 1855, so yeah, a full 45 years after Durand's can patent. The first one was an English design.
What was it like? Was it the wheel thing?
Not yet. This first one was pretty clumsy still. Basically a short, thick blade with a kind of hooked point. You had to jam the point into the lid.
Sounds kind of stabby.
Very stabby. Then you had to sort of saw your way around the edge, using a lot of force. Still awkward, still left ragged edges, probably still dangerous.
Better than a bayonet, I guess.
Marginally. Like, you know when you try to open that awful hard plastic packaging with scissors and you know you're going to slip? Kind of like that, but with thick metal. Progress, but not exactly elegant.
Right, so we still needed something smoother, safer, less brute force.
And that finally arrived in 1870. An American inventor this time, William Lyman.
And he invented
The wheel style opener, the rotating cutting wheel. That was the game changer. You clamp it on, turn the key or handle, and the geared wheel cuts relatively smoothly around the rim.
the design we basically still use today, or the principle at least.
Pretty much the direct ancestor. It was safer, more controlled, and much more effective on those, by then, slightly thinner cans.
So let's get that timeline straight. 1810, the tin can is patented. 1870, Lyman patents the practical wheel opener. Wow, that's 60 years total, but about 45 years between the can and the first awkward opener.
60 years? A whole lifetime back then. A whole generation, maybe two, wrestling with iron cans.
It's just wild when you think about the impact. The
Right.
can changed warfare, exploration, how people ate globally.
Huge impact. Foundational technology.
Yet for almost half a century, it was fundamentally hobbled by its own brilliant design, its
Yeah.
toughness.
Yeah, and it really highlights something interesting about innovation, doesn't it? You have this massive breakthrough, the can itself, but it couldn't reach its full potential.
Until a secondary, seemingly simple invention came along to bridge the gap, the interface.
Exactly. It shows that big inventions often need this whole other wave of innovation, sometimes in materials, like here, sometimes in design, sometimes in just figuring out the user experience to become truly useful and widespread.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? I guess it means we should maybe appreciate those little secondary inventions more, the things that make the big ideas actually work day to day.
Absolutely. The can was amazing science for its time, but the opener, that was smart engineering meeting a practical need, finally enabled by better materials.
So next time you grab a can opener and zip it around a lid in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, take a moment. Remember the chisel and hammer phase? Remember the bayonets? That effortless twist is the result of a decades-long struggle against stubborn iron.
It made me think about this too. Innovation isn't always a straight line, is it?
Right.
Sometimes the simple, obvious solution, like a can opener, gets delayed because the original problem, like the impossible thickness of that first can, seems too big to overcome with a simple tool.
Right. We focus on the big eureka moments, but often it's the evolution of the small, supporting tools and technologies that really let society cash in on those breakthroughs. Makes you wonder what simple openers we're still waiting for today.